So I think, and I'm
Thank you, Danny.
willing,
Thank
I
you, Danny.
suppose, to
And
be wrong
Eloisa,
here.
this is a genius idea.
What is going on?
Thank you so much. I hope people, they can contribute to your Venmo. They can take food there. They can give to Support and Feed, and we'll get food from V Spot and other New York restaurants and take it there. There's so many ways that you could help today.
Thank you so much, Maddie. I mean, we love
So-
you at Chili's Meals. It's been so helpful.
I could be wrong. I hope I'm not, and I hope Maggie Mother, may I? You're not monetizing this, I don't think. I think you're just trying to get out information on healthy, tasty, good vegan food and stuff. So if I've got your live stream or
Thank you for what you're doing.
Instagram
Thank you, everyone
content
watching,
going in the
you're
background,
donating, and that's where your
maybe
food
I don't
is
get
going.
sued or
It's making a
something.
huge
I don't
difference.
know.
We love you.
but
We love you, Eloisa. Thank you for doing
this
this.
is,
Bye, guys.
I'm hopelessly, like, the 6 episodes of Me and Dad Radio were awesome. Maybe when I go for that free Apple TV week,
I don't know why.
I can see
I can no longer
video
hang up on
in
you.
addition to just the
little X
album
song.
cover. I don't
Wasn't
know,
that cool?
but maybe.
Oh my gosh, I use those everywhere. What shocks me,
So,
and we all know
Maggie
people are
is a
so
much-
hungry right now. People are suffering so
oh,
much.
Maggie
and,
Bird, you're
one
an
of the things that's
amazing
gotten me through
person,
this
and
pandemic, and I know through everybody in
so
Support
much
Feed,
content.
is giving to
I
others
don't
has made this
really
year
have
bearable. And
the
I just want to
patience,
thank you all.
and I
Look at
certainly
how many
don't have
people
the
need
time to
food, and
binge.
it's you
Good
give to
Lord,
Support
what do you have?
Feed, we
Hundreds
give
of
to Chili's
hours
on Wheels,
probably
we
by
fill
now.
that
I don't
food
know.
pantry, we help
You
that
do long
restaurant.
videos.
It's just a win
They're
all around.
dense
Or you
with
can bring those
content
straight
and
to the food
information
pantry
that I
too.
really
You can
want.
just
I
take
want
some
to
food
see
over
them
if you
all.
live in New York City.
But
Okay,
nobody
that's
got
very
time for that,
moving.
unfortunately.
I'm a crier, so I'm gonna
Certainly
have a
I've got
sip of
stuff
my
to
tea.
do,
Calm
but I
down.
will try to absorb, big
Thank you to my
chunks
friends at
from
Matcha
time to
Bar for
time.
sending me these really
as
tasty
best I
matcha.
can,
I'm
but-
going to show everybody how to make it soon. So
And,
I'm going to talk to my friend. She's become my friend.
a lot of times I
Reshma.
need to eat,
she's
and you
genius,
talking
and
about
I love
food all the
talking to
time,
her.
just,
And
well, if
I
maybe
wanna
if
know
you
if any
could
of you have
inspire
any
me to eat
questions
when you're
about
making me
plant-based
really wish I
eating.
could eat all
maybe
this.
you're new to it. I have some of my
Tasty,
favorite
tasty
plant-based snacks here.
But
I have some almonds. Just really
so I
healthy,
did
nutritional. These
threaten
are some
that I
of the
was
things
going
have
to
throughout the day. But
play
looking
guitar.
to see your questions. Send me some questions that you might have for
Oh, I
Reshma,
didn't clean off
and
my
then maybe I'll go to
table.
one of you.
And I wish I did.
I'm going to take your
Because
request
now I gotta put my amp somewhere,
about plant-based
and I don't
eating,
want to
or
put it
whatever.
on my Apple charger.
And then we're going to go to Reshma and we're going to talk nutrition with her.
Even with
Because
the
a lot
aftermarket
of people
cord, it
want to
doesn't
be
work
plant-based eaters, vegan, and
Oh,
maybe
gosh.
they have hesitation.
The
partly
noodles.
because a lot of our society has
Noodles and oodles of
brainwashed
noodles.
us, indoctrinated us into
Yes.
the idea that meat is an essential part of our diet and dairy, and we now really know that
And
it's not. So, and in fact, there's so many
Everything wants to be
benefits
as
to
tangled as
plant-based
possible.
diet. So we focus a lot on plant-based diet for the planet, but I also want to, I'm going to try to go somewhere else because that one didn't work. But of course it's important for the climate crisis and the planet, but it's also important for your health. And so we want to talk about this. I'm trying to go live with somebody who has a question. Somebody said, how long are you vegan? I have been a vegetarian almost my whole life. I became a teenager. I'm not young now. She couldn't join.
You're pretty young,
and- but I've been a vegan for
You're not exactly old now, are
over
you?
a decade, over 10 years, maybe
Because,
12. I
you know,
don't
what
know.
a dragon is growing old.
I think market,
Maybe
it
if you
just seems
eat
so
well, you
necessary,
wouldn't
and
grow
because
old
I've
so
been a
quick.
vegetarian almost my whole life, switching to no dairy, no eggs, it was a big change actually in my health. I didn't notice being a vegetarian because I've been a vegetarian so long, but being a vegan, I really, really did. So I'm going to go to Reshma, Dr. Reshma. I'm trying to request you. Here we go.
Like milkshakes I
And
could live without.
I'm sending you a request.
Don't necessarily want to, but I could.
When I became a vegan, I really... Hi!
Hi,
How are you?
I'm so good. How are you?
So thankful. I've been waiting so long for you to come on ever since we had our amazing chat. I've been so anxious to have you on.
This,
Reshma,
the head of the
Dr.
snail
Shah
keeps
has
biting
this
my knuckle.
great book. It's probably backwards because in Skyline, but It's called Nourish, and I've been recommending this book to people, who have a lot of questions. But you're here, so we can ask you some questions. First of all, will you just tell us a little bit about yourself so people know why you have the cred about what we're asking?
So I'm a pediatrician, and I've been caring for kids and families for over 20 years now. I've also got 2 kids of my own, and so I wrote this book. I co-wrote the book with Brenda Davis, who's a phenomenal registered dietitian. And the reason that we wrote this book is because we both have had experiences where we know that feeding our families a plant-based, plant-centered, vegan, whatever word feels comfortable for you, has so many advantages, from the health advantages to the environment and, of course, compassion. But we really wanted to give parents and families the tools in order to be able to do it successfully. And one of the things that we wanted to do is to emphasize that it's progress. Don't worry about being perfect, and wherever you are, you can be. And we also just wanted it to be really an invitation for people to be able to explore.
Great, that's awesome. And so many people have questions. I know a lot of people who watch this live, and some of them are younger, and also your friends of mine. I'm gonna guess
It's actually the most commonly asked question. It's probably the nutrient that I worry about the least. And the reason for that is we know that in the United States, over 97% of Americans meet their protein requirements. It's just not, in all my years of caring for patients, I've never seen protein deficiency unless there was some underlying medical condition. Now,
that is really a big statement. That's amazing. Because I'm sure you've seen iron deficiencies and all kinds of deficiencies in people who eat any kind of diet.
Yep.
But
I've
not
seen kids with iron deficiency. I've seen kids with rickets from vitamin D deficiency. I've seen kids with growth failure. None of them were vegan. So, but and you can compare that statistic of 97% to less than 3% of Americans, and more closer to less than 1% of children meet their daily fiber requirements.
wow, really? That does not surprise me though, because so much food that kids and people like is not very fiber
Rich, yeah. And so I would say there are basically 2 things you need to keep in mind with protein. And if you sort of address these 2 things, you pretty much don't have to worry about your protein. And those 2 things are, make sure you're getting enough calories, because a lot of times people just aren't. If you're not eating enough food, it's going to be hard to meet your protein requirements. And the second thing is eat a variety of foods. So I know that there are some people that say, well, animal protein is better quality, you're going to have deficiency of certain amino acids, but really, if you eat enough quantity of food and enough variety of food, so beans and nuts and seeds and tofu, tempeh, if you include the variety, you're going to take care of your protein requirements. It's something that I don't worry about. Now, when you're getting started, it might be difficult to know, well, I'm not going to eat chicken and I'm not going to eat fish. What am I going to eat? And so we can definitely talk about some great sources of plant-based protein, but protein is probably one of the things that I worry about the least.
So interesting. I know a little bit of it is psychological. People have a feeling of like what's the protein, and sometimes just telling people about the apple has the protein, the potato has protein. Protein is kind of a lot of things. If you're looking for a high protein, what would a high protein? We're establishing that we don't need to worry about that. So we're like, what is one of the vegan foods that is higher protein?
I love tofu. It's a really absorbable, like you can, some of the fiber foods, if you're eating really high fibrous beans, sometimes you don't absorb quite as much of the protein because it's so high in fiber. But tofu protein is really absorbable. It's got rich source of amino acids, so I love tofu. The other thing is kids tend to like tofu because you can kind of season it with whatever, and it's really, I think it's one of the most delicious plant-based proteins.
I love tofu. I really, really genuinely love it. And it's come a long way I mean, when I first lived in New York City, you buy it in a big bag. It was good, but it could vary. And now it's very consistent, good, and there's so many things you can do with it. I would say buy organic tofu, and that doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think if organic is accessible to you, that's what you should do.
thinking that they're worried about? I'm sure dairy probably too.
Yeah, so I would say protein and dairy are the two, as a pediatrician, protein and dairy are the two most common things. In terms of dairy, I always say, first of all, it's important to remember that 70% of the global population is lactose intolerant. So to have a food that you think is necessary for our well-being, when the vast majority of the population, it makes them ill, it just defies logic. So I always it's crazy.
And also that is one of the primary foods that is provided in programs that give food assistance is a food that many people can't actually eat.
And I think it's starting to shift. So if you look at some school lunch programs and supplemental nutrition programs, they recognize that between lactose intolerance and food allergies, that they have to sort of be flexible to provide meal times. So some school lunch programs will allow for a soy milk substitute. So in terms of dairy, I always tell people we're the only species that drinks the milk of another mammal. So just thinking of it from a logical perspective, it doesn't really make sense. And then you think about this sort of nutritional aspect. So what are you getting from dairy that you are afraid you're going to be missing? And I would say it's protein. We already talked about that. Calcium and vitamin D. The easiest one to sort of check off the list is vitamin D because milk is not naturally high in vitamin D. It's fortified. It's added.
Supplement, right? They're adding it in there, right?
They're adding it in there. So the vitamin D you can get in the same way. If you drink a plant-based milk, get a fortified plant-based milk. And then the second thing is calcium. And dairy does provide about 300 or so milligrams of calcium per cup. But if you buy a fortified plant-based milk, like soy milk, it has just as much, if not more, calcium. And there's so many different plant foods that have tons of calcium, from leafy greens to tahini and sesame seeds and almonds and figs and oranges. So many things.
Almonds right here. Almonds are like a staple for me. Just a few almonds and an apple is like a perfect snack. And they are really high in calcium, right?
Yeah, so I think that all the nutrients that you are worried you're going to be missing out if you're not drinking or consuming dairy, you can easily get from a plant-based diet. So
that's incredible. Now, a lot of people, even though they're hearing this, a lot of people are young. I had this problem myself when I was young. I wanted to be a vegetarian. I didn't know what a vegan was. And my brothers became vegetarian, and I asked, my parents were like, no, because they were scared, right? And even though you're saying all of this, a lot of people's parents are probably still going to be concerned. So if they wanted to approach their parents, do you have some thoughts on that? They can repeat what you just said, but yeah, their pointers.
Two basic things, because I get a lot of kids. Actually, I'll say I get a lot of parents coming to me saying, "Hey, my kid wants to be a vegetarian," and they're expecting me to convince them, "Oh no, it's not." And boy, are they surprised when I say, "I think that's fantastic." So, two things. One is if you're able to sort of arm yourself a little bit with information, just like telling your parents, I know that you're worried about my health and well-being, and I am too. And this is how I'm going to get my protein. This is how I'm going to get my calcium. So arm yourself a little bit with information. And if you're able to, offer to do some work. So offer to cook myself for family once a week and introduce them. And so I think understanding that parents are actually certainly so offer some information and offer to do some work. And I think most parents, if you're offering to cook dinner once a week, I don't think they'll say no to that.
I think that's such a good point because it's concern and love, and it's also like, wait, I'm doing the work, right?
Right.
And if I'm doing the work, I'm going to cook what I know. So if you do the work and you make it a fun affair, I feel so scared to talk now.
I know everything I cook.
Like Billy always makes this delicious soup with tofu and turkey, and she always makes it. It's so good. It makes me what about the famous vitamin B12?
Yes. So that, actually, there's not a lot of controversy. I think if you're 100% vegan, 100% plant-based, you absolutely need to ensure you have a good source of B12. And the reason for that is the consequences of being B12 deficient can be pretty devastating. That's not to alarm people because it's really easy to supplement, it's pretty inexpensive, and there are really no significant side effects. So B12, either you're going to do a supplement, there are these B12 sprays that are so easy to take.
Oh my gosh, I even have it candy.
Yes, candy. There's so many delicious options. And we're going to make sure you're using well. So if we consume some of that soil, we kind of get B12 that way. Nowadays, we don't want to be eating
Oh, the B
you know,
complexes.
vegetables full of dirt for
How
a
about
variety of
B3 and
reasons, so
5?
intended sort of sanitary
Those are the
things.
ones that I want
There
to
are, unless the
make
food
me
is
drink
fortified,
energy
like a
drinks and
fortified
shit.
plant-based milk or some of these fortified, some nutritional yeasts will be fortified, but you really have to read the label.
Brewer's
So I
yeast.
think that the only consistent form of food, if you're not eating animal foods, is a fortified plant-based milk. But if you kind of consume that irregularly, then just take a supplement. It's easier. But some mushrooms and other foods may have, but it's very inconsistent. It's not reliable. So that's why I don't recommend food for B12.
I mean, I have heard, tell me if this is true, that even that people who eat meat as well, in general, our food system is not the same as it used to be, and almost everyone should be taking a supplement anyway,
Yeah.
not just kids.
Absolutely. So the Institute of Medicine actually says that anyone over the age of 50, because of the way it's kind of complicated about how we absorb and sort of cleave the B12, anyone over the age of 50 has a difficult time sort of getting B12 from the diet and should take a B12 supplement. There are also a variety of other medical conditions, so celiac disease and other conditions that can affect your absorption. So
Hey,
it's
yeah.
not just vegans that have to be worried about B12. Absolutely.
Great, this is such good information, and of course you have your book. Do you have any other sources to recommend? Do you have a website?
Yeah, so we have a lot of information actually on our website for the book, nourishthebook.com. There's like a resource tab, and it links to a lot of like starter guides and recipe blogs and things like that. So we have some recipes in the book, but the website has tons and tons of links to kind of get you started. And I think one thing I would say for anyone who is sort of like curious and kind of thinking like, I've heard it's good for my health, I think it's good for the environment, but they're really just overwhelmed and not sure where to start. I think start with what already feels comfortable. We all eat plant-based meals. I'm gonna all vegan. Peanut butter and jelly, pasta with marinara sauce, oatmeal. If you have a few of these
So what's
things
you
that
today,
you
man?
already enjoy, just try to do them more
for sure.
often. And then
Right on.
just, one meal at a time. So maybe you're gonna commit breakfast will be vegan from now on. And then maybe you'll start experimenting with lunch. And before you know it, you'll have 10, 15, 20 go-to things. And it won't seem so complicated. So don't let it be overwhelming. Don't let it be complicated. Find a sense of community, like Support and Feed, and just let it kind of be a celebration and an exploration.
That's a great point. And my gosh, on Instagram alone, there's vegan recipes every other, if you follow vegan influencers, then they'll just come up and it's an amazing
Don't
source.
you feel like in the last 5 years it's just kind of exploded?
Oh, I mean, I've told this to many people, but my go-to, used to be years ago, I'd go to a restaurant with people and I would get a dry baked potato and a salad and, add the salad dressing to the baked potato. That was the only option. And now, there's
It's a cover! Woohoo! I know a song.
It's not
Sort
so
of.
easy,
A little bit of a
obviously,
song.
and
I know a
they
snippet.
don't have access in every community to produce, etc. That's the problem, and it's certainly in cities and some states in our country, there's not such wealth. But like you say, the basics of beans, rice, nuts, these are healthy staples of the vegan diet, and those are pretty much everywhere.
Yeah, I think it may have to be a little bit, for a lot of people will say to me, well, I could never go vegan or plant-based because with family stuff and going out to eat, when we're able to go out to eat on a regular basis. And what I say is, don't let that button, just be vegan at home. And then if you have to be flexible when you go out, that's fine. And you'll be surprised, the more comfortable you become with a little bit of cooking, a little bit of creativity, there hasn't been a single place I've been to that I haven't been able to sort of throw together some vegan options.
It's true. I had a whole period of touring with Billy where these photos I put together in the airport, the little packages full of flavor, the little, you can put stuff together and like you said, it's steps. It's whatever you can do makes an impact and you get there how you get there. So
Yeah, absolutely.
thank you so much, and I know you're going to be helping us with Support and Feed, giving us advice, helping us along the way. So guys, if you have more questions, you're going to have access to this physician, an expert. So thank you so much for coming on today. And
Oh, thank you for all the work you do. I was watching from the beginning. It's just, I'm like you prior to, and I was just like, it's just, sometimes humanity just makes you feel so, I don't even know how to describe it. It was beautiful to see. So thank you for
that makes you want to go get a fridge and put it right on your
Yes.
your But I think the important part is what you can start with. That protein is in lots of plant-based foods. There's no worry on that one. And calcium in so many foods, including these almonds I have here. This is a real go-to snack in my house. Almonds and apple. Really loves it. I love it. And super easy. You can throw that. Hi. How are you? Oh, let me see your face. Do you have the face here? Yeah, that's so cute. What's your name? Ashley. Where are you from?
I'm not living in a city. I'm living in a village.
What village?
I don't know.
We have been to some villages in Germany on our tour bus. We've stopped. So nice. Even then, I found vegan food. Even in a little tiny village, I found some. Ashley, how are you doing during the pandemic? Is it challenging for you? Are you doing okay?
Yeah, so it's really hard because I'm dancing after so I'm dancing in two kinds of dancing and I can't dance at the moment.
Oh, that's so hard. That is so hard. I feel so bad for dancers and that's so hard. Are you dancing at home? A lot of people are saying they're singing classes at home. Do you have any do you have any vegan or plant-based questions?
So not really.
That's okay. Do you have any dishes that are plant-based?
I don't know.
You know, we have a German vegan restaurant right in our neighborhood.
Yeah, you know me.
It's called Hinterhof. Hinterhof. They have Spätzle, and they have vegan sausage, and they have vegan bratwurst, and it's so amazing. It's so cool. Right down the street from us, basically. There's a vegan restaurant. If you come here, you'll have to tell me if it's your food. Well, Ashley, nice to talk to you. Bye. Were you hanging up for me?
Yeah.
Okay, bye-bye. I don't know what's wrong with that. Isn't she beautiful? That is so nice. I love talking to you all, and I love that you're watching and that you're interested in feeding people and your own nutrition and the health of the planet. So, today I had much to keep me awake. Thank you so much for this amazing question. I'm sure don't even know how easy it is to make. And today, boy, I'm really so tired from Charlotte. So I hope you guys got something out of it. You can always have an apple, and this is a very appreciated cake and some almonds. Really does. If you don't, it's okay. This will be my last person. But vegan cookies are so easy to make. Just literally substituting. Hello.
Hey, Becky.
How are you?
I'm very good, actually.
What's your name? Where are you right now?
Well, my name is kind of weird for English people. My name is Renske.
Oh, pretty.
And I'm from Holland.
Oh, wow, that's
The
so,
Netherlands.
that's so beautiful. I think you look like we could be related.
Oh my god! Well, thank you. That's so sweet of you to
Well,
say.
I think I flatter myself. You're very beautiful. How
I tried to be vegan for like a few years ago, but I got actually pretty ill of it. Maybe because I was too young to do it in the right way. So my question was what to do to like start off your vegan diet, you know?
Yeah. Well, I'm wondering what you did at the time. Can you tell me how you approached it then?
Well, I had like 5 different how do you call it, recipes, and I just did them over and over again. So I think I had lack of some nutrition, you know. So I ate a lot of vegan yogurts and I don't know, like I don't really know.
Well, first of all, I think sometimes it's hard to know in situations like that because it's hard to know if you were just even not eating enough calories, just not eating enough food because you were like, I don't know what to eat, so I'm not going to eat it. Sometimes that can happen, and I think what the doctor said, what Reshma said, is like just focus on the foods you already love that are naturally plant-based and have them a little more, and then really try to have that variety of food. So you're really having lots of fruit and lots, enough vegetables and nuts. If you're having almonds and walnuts and there's so much nourishment in nuts right away. You're going to cover a lot of bases. And if you're having things like fruits and vegetables and then grains and rice and all those things. And tofu is an incredibly nutritious food.
I love tofu. Actually, I had that for the first time when I went to China when I was like 17. And they call it stinky tofu over there because you smell it from like miles away.
That stinky tofu is intense. I can't do it. My husband tried it. It is really intense. Like,
Yeah, it was the first time I had tofu, so it was intense, but I did like it.
So that's
Yes, I did.
That
Yeah.
Okay, well, tofu is so versatile, and I have done tofu salad on my lives and stuff. But I'll do some more tofu because you can do everything with that. So I think just start with the diet you have, and then make a few substitutions, right? So instead of milk, have almond milk or soy milk or oat milk, and instead of cheese, have vegan cheese, or just leave the cheese off because that's not really necessary. And then just kind of keep your diet and kind of make, just like leave off meat where you can, add some beans if you're making pasta, add some chickpeas, add some
I love chickpeas. They're so amazing.
they're so good. I bet you'd have a really successful time now. So why don't you just give it a try, inch your way in and let me know.
Yeah, I will. I still live at home with my parents. They do exactly being vegetarian, so they do stuff for me to make that easier. But in the meantime, because I'm not really completely vegan, or maybe it's kind of lazy of me to say that I'm in the last year of my studies, so I'm very busy and I'm not always having time to do groceries for just myself, so maybe I'm kind of lazy in that, but I just try to do other stuff to be better to the environment, so I